Environmental policies and climate change initiatives are increasingly affecting the future of crude oil consumption and alternatives. In this section, we will explore how different countries and regions are implementing measures to reduce their reliance on fossil fuels and promote cleaner energy sources. One of the main drivers of these policies is the recognition of the negative effects of crude oil production and use on the environment. According to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, finding, producing, and moving crude oil may have impacts such as disturbing land and marine ecosystems, emitting greenhouse gases and air pollutants, causing oil spills and leaks, and generating large amounts of wastewater. To mitigate these impacts, some countries have adopted carbon pricing mechanisms, such as taxes or cap-and-trade systems, that put a cost on carbon emissions and create incentives for reducing them. For example, the European Union has the world's largest carbon market, covering about 40% of its greenhouse gas emissions from power plants, industries, and aviation. Other countries that have implemented or are planning to implement carbon pricing include Canada, China, Japan, South Korea, and South Africa. Another policy tool that affects crude oil consumption is the regulation of fuel efficiency and emission standards for vehicles. These standards aim to improve the performance of cars and trucks and reduce their fuel consumption and tailpipe emissions. For example, the United States has adopted Corporate Average Fuel Economy (CAFE) standards that require automakers to achieve a fleet-wide average of 54.5 miles per gallon by 2025. Similarly, China has set fuel consumption standards that require passenger cars to achieve an average of 5 liters per 100 kilometers by 2020. A third policy approach that influences the future of crude oil is the support for renewable energy sources and alternative fuels. These sources and fuels can reduce the dependence on oil and lower the carbon footprint of the energy sector. For example, many countries have set targets or mandates for increasing the share of renewable energy in their electricity generation or transport sectors. Some examples are Germany's goal of 80% renewable electricity by 2050, India's target of 175 gigawatts of renewable capacity by 2022, and Brazil's mandate of 27% ethanol blend in gasoline. Other alternative fuels that can replace or complement oil include natural gas, hydrogen, biofuels, and electricity. The adoption of these policies and initiatives varies across countries and regions, depending on their economic, social, and political contexts. However, they all reflect a global trend towards a low-carbon transition that will have significant implications for the crude oil market. According to the International Energy Agency, IEA, global oil demand is expected to peak around 2030 and decline thereafter under its Sustainable Development Scenario, which is aligned with the Paris Agreement's goal of limiting global warming to well below 2 degrees Celsius. The IEA also projects that oil demand will drop by more than 50% by 2050 in this scenario, compared to a business-as-usual scenario. This means that the future of crude oil will depend largely on how countries and regions implement their environmental policies and climate change initiatives.